Well, I mean, first of all, you've got Warren who plays with a pick and is in standard, except for maybe 3 or 4 songs that he's in drop D. You've got Derek in open E, playing with his fingers, always on the neck pickup. So they're real dissimilar, but they mesh together so well. And we've had, no offense against anybody out there, but since Warren joined back up 10, 11 years ago, there's been like a fight getting, not a fight, that's not the right word, but it's hard to get it to mesh. And we've tried so much stuff, I could just name, Marshall, Randall, Fender, Soldano, and these are all great amplifiers, but they just don't work for what we were doing. And Derek, Derek's such a different, great player, and Warren's, they come from a similar background but different experiences. And when we got that 25th anniversary amp, it's like, Derek's got his, Warren's got his. Bobby T's, who's Derek's tech, he would be on the phone with Doug, and one time I asked Doug, he goes, do you want to know what we're doing to Derek's amp? No, that's fine, that's Bobby and Derek, this is Brian and Warren. Just, oh man, he goes, you guys are, it's not that much different, but there's some really weird differences, and it's working. I don't know what you're doing. I open up an amp and go, I could work on a guitar. Amplifiers are that weird magical place, But Doug has got it going in this last 2 years. This year especially, with his 25th anniversaries we got last fall in November, and Doug did just some little minute tweaking. I don't think we did anything different on Warren's amp. He did a couple different tweaks on the bright switch and on one of the, I think the treble EQ, if I think I'm right, on Derek's amp. But it's like that 25th anniversary, take it out of the box, put it down. First thing Warren does, everything goes straight up to 12 o'clock, and he plugs it in. And if it doesn't sound good there, he's not going to start. He doesn't want to start shaping it. But boom, he's like, well, this sounds good. What does this do? What does that do? These are all working. Oh, okay. And he's like, it was the quickest I've ever seen. Last November, we had a rehearsal. We did a 3-week run last year, and we rehearsed for like 3 or 4 days. We had one full day, probably 6 hours taken off to the side for us to get sounds. 5 minutes, Warren's got his. 10 minutes, Derek's got his. They got in there together. Well, let's get them together so we can make it mesh. And they both plugged in and just sat down. I'm like, oh, great, they're not going to start. We got to start doing this, dialing it in. And they both just sat down and started playing. It was like, this is working. This sounds great. So it's taken. I don't want to say a nightmare. It's taken a challenge and turned it into like the journey's not over, but it's really going sweet. So Doug does great. I'm so happy that Doug is there, and I'm so happy that Paul and Doug have got this going. It's really, really a cool feeling to know that it's reliable, it's distinctive, familiar, and just makes those guys so comfortable.